Hello everyone, this reading will be for Friday, April 10th. Your affirmation for today is, I cherish the people I work with. I love that we are all on the same team. For today's reading, I decided to use 3 different decks. We're going to be using 2 cards from the Romance Angels, 1 card from the Archangel Oracle cards, and we're going to be using 1 card from the Oracle of Shadows and Light. So let's go ahead and start with our first card. Violet Duchess. Stifled, bored, and stuck. So you can see in this image that this girl looks really bored. And I think this is referring to some of you who may be single and you may be tired of being single. You may be wondering when you're going to meet someone. And you just might be really unhappy right now, just really bored with life. But just know that if you're single, you are single for a reason. I think that everything happens for a reason. So try to see the bigger picture. I think there's some divine purpose for the reason why you're single. Remember that you will meet someone eventually. It just takes time. It takes time for the person that you're meant to be with to be ready to be in a relationship with you, and also takes time for you to be ready. Maybe there's some inner work that you need to be doing. Maybe there are some things in your life or in your circumstances that need to change, but when the time is right, you will eventually meet someone. But this card has several different messages, I believe, and even if you're in a relationship right now or if you're dating, this card does suggest that you're not completely happy with the way that things are going. Maybe for some of you, the relationship just is not progressing the way that you hoped it would at this point. Maybe you had hoped that you would have come to the point where you have evolved to a deeper level of commitment with this person. Or I also think that some of you are just realizing that you are maybe with the wrong person. This could refer to people who are feeling stuck in their relationships. Maybe you're with this person for reasons other than love. It may be pity, it may be obligation, it may be a sense of duty, it may be because of financial reasons. Maybe you don't believe that you can support yourself financially. And I know so many women who will stay in a relationship for their kids because they want their children to have both parents in their lives, and there's nothing wrong with that, but just keep in mind that your children are going to grow up one day and they're going to have a life of their own, and meanwhile, you're going to be left alone. And if you're staying in this relationship, you're probably going to be very miserable as well. So it's really important to consider your children's happiness, as all good mothers would do or all good parents would do, because maybe some men are staying in a relationship for the same reason. But it's also important to think about your own happiness, because you could just end up throwing your happiness away by putting it off for the future. And the next card we have is separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. So I think this card has a few different messages. I think this might be about some of you who are thinking about leaving your partner, maybe finding someone new, or maybe just taking some time for yourself to sort of figure out what you want. And this might also be encouraging some of you to maybe make a new start, because the first card does indicate that a lot of people are not necessarily happy right now with where they are in their love lives. And I think for many people, these relationships that you're in are just not going to work out. And so you can either stay there in this situation where you're not happy, or you can either move on and hope that you'll meet someone else in the future. So I think that is what this card is asking a lot of you to think about. And our next card for today is let your friends help you. Ask for and accept support from others. So if some of you do decide to separate from your relationship, or if you decide to make a new start, or even if you're single right now, and you're really unhappy with being single, maybe you're depressed, it's always good to lean on your friends for support. And this reminds me of the reading that we had yesterday. For those of you who saw it, we had a card about accepting help from others and about wise counsel. And to me, this is sort of building on that message that we had. To me, it is sort of asking some of you to lean on your friends, not only for support, but for advice. Some people are genuinely concerned about you. Some people really do want to see you happy in your life. And they may be giving you guidance and support and advice about what steps you should make. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take their advice, but you should definitely consider it if it's something that you feel will really benefit you. And this is not necessarily just about advice. This is about just being with people who make you happy. And this doesn't necessarily have to be just your friends. Sometimes our family are our friends. Sometimes your friends end up being people that you never met before. They might be people on the internet. They might be random strangers. And as I said, it could be your family members. So you're just being asked to lean on these people for support to help you get through these difficult times. Maybe they'll be able to provide emotional support. They might be able to help you with financial support, or just someone who can just talk to you in your time of need. But the angels definitely don't want you to feel like you have to go through this situation alone. And our last card for today is teaching and learning. So to me, this card is asking you to focus on the lessons that you've learned in your love lives. And you can learn things not just from your own relationships. You can learn from watching people around you. You can learn from seeing mistakes that other people have made. But this is really just asking you to pay attention to your patterns in relationships. How are your relationships similar? How are they different? How do they end? What mistakes do you normally make in these relationships? What kind of people do you always meet? Are you someone who moves too quickly in relationships? Are you someone who's always convinced that you met the one before really taking the time to get to know this person? Sometimes we make the same mistakes over and over again. Sometimes you can see the red flags. You can see little inconsistencies in the stories of the people that you meet. Think about your relationships that were more successful. Think about those that were not successful. Think about how all of those relationships ended. Think about the mistakes that you made, the things that happened in those relationships, the regrets that you had. And try to learn from these lessons. Try to learn from these mistakes so that the next person that you meet, or even in this relationship that you're in right now, will be more successful because of what you learn. Remember that nothing goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. So some of you might wonder, why do you keep meeting the same people? Why do your relationships keep ending in the same way? It might simply be because you've not learned the lessons that you're meant to learn. So until you do, this cycle is going to continue to repeat itself. And remember that you can always count on the angels to be there to support you and to help you out in any way that you need. So I thank you all for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.